Okay, so let's just get comfortable. Closing your eyes. You could even keep them open if you want to, but I like to close mine to start. Taking a couple of breaths. And we're just going to rest here and notice what's happening. Just becoming aware of the breathing. Aware of the breath as it gently moves in and out. And noticing how your body moves naturally with the breath. We're not trying to change our breathing, just noticing the way it's happening. And noticing also how we're aware of it. Is it just a sensation you feel in your body? Or are there thoughts about it? I am breathing. That's a thought. Maybe you can even see a slight image of yourself sitting in the chair or lying wherever you are. So we're just noticing how we're aware of everything. Noticing the feel of your body, touching a surface, whatever surface you're on. And again, noticing how you're aware of that. Are you only feeling a sensation? Are there slight images? Any mental images showing up? Maybe even some thoughts. This surface is hard, it's soft, it's comfortable, it's uncomfortable. So just noticing. Keep attention in the noticing. So we're not just noticing something and then letting the mind wander. We're keeping our attention right here. Aware also of any thoughts that are coming and going. Not trying to stop them or change them. We're not trying to turn negative thoughts into positive ones. We're just noticing all of our thoughts. Letting them be the way they are. Noticing how you're aware of your thoughts. Are you hearing them? Can you hear thoughts the way you hear the sound of my voice? Maybe you can see them as though they're written out in front of you. And maybe there's a felt sense in your body, some subtle energy. that has to do with thoughts or thinking. Now, paying attention to the content of your thoughts and engaging in them, following them, believing them. Or are you just aware that thinking is happening? And if there's engagement in the thoughts, is there another thought that says you shouldn't be? Notice that's a thought too. Do nothing with that either. Notice also any sounds that you hear, any sounds inside the room or outside the room. The sound of my voice. Even the space between the sounds. Can you hear the quietness when one sound ends and before the next begins? Can that silence be equal to the sounds that you hear? And as you're hearing the sounds, bring attention also into the sense of hearing. Noticing where you experience that in your body. Rest quietly in the sense of hearing. It may seem closer than the sounds that are being heard. Start to notice also the space around you in the room. That empty space, not just in front of you, but all the way around. The space between your body and any other objects in the room. See if you can get a sense of what that space feels like. And how else you might be aware of it. Maybe there's a mental image of what your room looks like. Maybe you can just feel a subtle energy, subtle sense. And maybe there are thoughts about it. So just noticing how you're aware of it. And notice that we're not actually doing anything other than bringing our attention to what's already here. Feeling the sense of your body, where it meets that space around it. Sense of air touching your skin. The weight of clothing on your body. Just noticing what it feels like. And then start to bring attention inward, inside your body. Noticing what's happening on the inside. Aware of the various sensations that are happening. And let's explore that a bit. Let's start to notice the energy or the sensation in different parts of the body. Starting with your head. Just resting quietly. Feeling what it feels like inside your head. And notice if there are any images that show up with that. Or is it just the sensation you're feeling? There's no right or wrong here. We're just noticing how you're experiencing. And then feel the energy in your chest, in your stomach. See if it feels any different than the energy in your head. And then feeling the energy in your arms and your legs. See if that's any different from the energy in your chest or your stomach or your head. So we're just gently exploring. And then see if the energy anywhere on the inside of your body is any different from the energy in the space outside your body. So just gently bringing attention back and forth, noticing what it feels like on the inside and what it feels like on the outside. And check again that border between inside and outside, the edge of your body, that outer edge. See if that seems to be any different from the energy on the inside or the energy on the outside. And as you rest in that, see if even the terms inside and outside make sense anymore. And then let's start to bring attention back into the body. Again, noticing what sensations are here. See if there's any particular sensation calling your attention. Maybe it's a feeling of discomfort, even a pain, tightness, contraction. Maybe even it's an emotion, fear, anger, sadness. Just notice what's here for you. And bring your attention right into the sensation itself, however you've named it. For now, just feeling it. Just pick one if there's more than one. And rest quietly inside the energy as though you're feeling it from the inside. Maybe even resting right at the source of that energy, the point where it originates. And don't move. Keep feeling this. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if thoughts are coming up to try to pull you out of feeling this, just notice that, acknowledge it. But keep your awareness in the energy itself for now. See if you can stay with it, keep feeling it, past the point where you think you can't take it anymore. And then you keep feeling it anyway. Take your time and just notice what happens when you don't do anything with this. When you just let it be here, let it be itself. For some, the energy might start to get more intense. Just notice that, keep feeling that, if that's what happens for you. And for others, the energy might start to naturally fade away on its own. Let that happen too, if that's what's happening for you. And then notice what's here in its place. What's happening in the body now? Keep dropping into that felt sense. And stay with it. Keep feeling it no matter what happens. And notice what happens when you really let it be. When you're not trying to change it or get rid of it, or even hold on to it if it's a pleasant feeling. Just saying yes to this, exactly the way it is. All the way in. And if this energy starts to shift naturally on its own, then notice what else is here. Whether it's something pleasant or unpleasant, whether you label it as good or bad, do nothing with it other than feel it. And keep feeling it, just until it naturally starts to move on its own. And if it doesn't, then keep feeling it. And notice what happens when you rest quietly in this, just letting it be. Even if what you're feeling is resistance to feeling something, notice that's what's really here. And allow that too. Welcoming even that. Resting quietly in it. And notice what happens when even resistance is allowed to be itself. And notice as you're feeling something, are there a lot of thoughts coming with it? Are they trying to pull you out of just directly feeling? Let that be okay, if that's what's happening. And we can start to explore the thoughts. Again, noticing how you're aware of them. Are you hearing them? Can you see them? If you're hearing your thoughts, just hear them. Just let the ears hear them. If you can see them, just let the eyes see them. It's like you're shifting perspective to an internal looking and hearing. And see what happens with your thoughts when you're only hearing them or only seeing them. You might see thoughts as mental images as well if pictures show up. Do the same, just look at them. And keep looking, keep the eyes on them until they start to shift on their own, till they naturally dissolve away. Not from you trying to get rid of them, but just from the looking. Notice what happens when you're only looking or only hearing. If you're hearing your thoughts, notice how quickly they go on their own. As soon as it's heard, it's gone. And if a thought seems to stay, if it seems to stick around, notice, do you have to keep replaying it? And if that's the case, is it really the same thought? Or is it a new thought every time with the same words? So we're just exploring, just noticing. And if you're looking at words or pictures, if you're only looking at them, can they stay? So just resting and noticing. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. The only right answer is really being truthful about what's happening in your experience. And letting it be that way. Let's explore the nature of thought a little more. See if you could reach out your hand and touch a thought. The energy of a thought. What is it made of? What is its substance? Does it have a texture? A temperature? A color? What happens if you try to hold a thought in your hand? Is there any weight to it? See if you can bring your attention to the place the next thought is going to come out of. That quiet, empty space. Just rest quietly there for a moment. And notice as thoughts begin to form in that space and how you're aware of them. Notice as they live their short lifespan and how you're aware of that. And then notice as they disappear back into the empty space they came out of. And rest there in the quietness. And continue to notice your thoughts coming and going like this. And notice what happens as you rest here and don't actually try to do anything with the thoughts other than see them or hear them or be aware of them. any of the thoughts seem to mean something, look at that meaning. Notice that's another thought. And you can look at that as well. Let that be too. So you can keep exploring your thoughts if you like. Otherwise, bring attention back into your body. Notice what's happening in the body. Just rest quietly in it. You can go at your own pace here. If I go too fast or too slow for you, just go at your own pace. But dropping back into that felt sense in your body, noticing what's here. Whatever sensation is here, letting it be. Giving it permission to stay. While you just feel it. And notice what happens when you just let this be. Keep dropping in. Whatever's here for you, let it be here. If you're naming a sensation, whatever you call it, pain, tightness, contraction, fear, happiness, whatever it is, notice the label is a thought. It's a thought about an energy that's happening in the body. So just look at the thought. Keep looking at it or hearing it until it naturally dissolves on its own. And then see if you can feel the raw energy in the body without any names, without any labels, without knowing anything at all about it. Just energy happening here. And notice what happens when you do that. Even if whatever sensation you're feeling is something you like, if it feels good, notice it's just an energy as well. And see what happens if you only feel that. Without the thoughts about it or trying to keep it as though that means something. And if there are thoughts or a sense of trying to keep it, allow those too. Just look at them or just feel them. So we're literally not changing anything at all, positive or negative. And as you rest quietly in whatever this is for you, notice what happens. Take your time. Just keep feeling whatever's here for you. And then see if you can start to notice the more subtle senses. The senses of looking, feeling, allowing. Notice those are also energies happening here in your body. They might be more subtle. See if you can rest in those, whichever one you're noticing. Noticing even the energy of noticing. Do nothing with that either. Other than feel it. And notice what happens when you let that be too. You might even notice something even more subtle. It may not feel like an energy because it's so familiar. That sense of a me who's here doing something. The sense of me who's looking or feeling or allowing. Notice how you're aware of that sense of me. Is it just an energy in the body? Or is there a picture of you as well? Maybe even the thought, this is me, even your name. So look at the thoughts if they're here, or the images. And notice we're not doing inquiry here, we're not asking any questions. We're just resting and allowing everything to show up and happen the way it's already happening. So even these thoughts and these pictures of you, just look at them. Keep looking until they start to dissolve naturally on their own. And then feel that sense in your body, that sense of me. But without doing anything with it, without knowing it's you. Even if it seems to get stronger, let it. Keep feeling it. Even if it starts to dissolve, let it. And feel what shows up in its place. Maybe there's a sense of openness or spaciousness, or maybe there's fear. Whatever it is that's here for you, allow it all. Keep resting and allowing. I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes. Go at your own pace. If thoughts are here, you can hear them or see them, but stay with them. Keep looking until they naturally dissolve on their own. And if body sensations are here, just keep feeling them all the way through. So you're not jumping from one element to the next. Stay with one at a time. Stay with it. Notice what happens when it gets quiet and you're doing it on your own. Does the mind wander? Try to pull you away of just directly feeling or being aware of the thoughts and energies? If that happens, let that happen. Notice that's what's happening. Notice you can be aware of that as well. If it's happening, it's allowed. As you keep resting and noticing what's here, notice also that you've probably been doing most of this with your eyes closed. So let's start to see what happens when we open our eyes. keeping attention in your body, staying present right here in your body. Slowly and gently begin to open your eyes. And as you do that, stay aware of what's happening in your body. Notice if the energy changes. Notice if there's some impulse to be pulled up and out and engaged in what's happening around us. If there is that energy or any other energy, keep your attention in it, keep feeling it, but do it with your eyes open. Stay with it. Notice what happens when you just rest here quietly with your eyes open, feeling this. Notice if it's more challenging to stay present in the body when your eyes are open. Let that be okay too. And just feeling whatever sensations are here. Letting them be. Stay with it. Keep dropping in, keep attention in the body, even though your eyes are open. This is a really good practice to do anytime throughout the day. Just for a moment at a time, if you've noticed you're engaged in what's happening around you, bring attention back to the body. Doesn't mean you can't still be engaged in life. But the more you practice being present here, it becomes much easier. It becomes a moment-to-moment present awareness, rather than I need to sit down for an hour and meditate. It's every moment aware of what's happening and letting it happen. And then action is taken or not taken. And the action then comes from being present, rather than believing stories about what's happening. So notice as you're resting here, present in your body, any thoughts that may also be coming and going, and let them. We're not trying to change or stop our thoughts. They're just part of what's happening. And notice what happens when you don't do anything with them, but you let them come and go naturally on their own. And notice with your eyes open how you're aware of your thoughts. and noticing that you're aware of them. And staying present in the body, begin to look around the room. Notice all the colors and shapes and objects that you see. Notice if there weren't color, how would you even know that there were shapes or objects? And as you're just looking gently from resting here in your body, see if anything you're looking at is asking you to do anything with it. Or is it just being itself? See if anything is even labeling itself. Does that chair call itself a chair? Does the table know it's a table? So notice, even with your eyes open, you can just gently explore, experience life. It can be playful. It doesn't have to be serious. Just learning to look in a new way. And notice what happens in your experience when you do that.